Dr. Elizabeth Hafer wants you to get your head on straight. In a world gone sideways, having balance and integrity in all areas of life leads to having confidence that breeds clarity. Clarity is essential to living an authentic life, and all the information shared on the Get Your Head On Straight podcast is designed to inspire you to live your life fulfilled. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. I'm excited about my guest today. She's one of our own, Brooke from Well Connected. And it's so fun to be able to share her story and her journey with Blair Chiropractic and where she's moving in her life, both personally and professionally. So Brooke, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's like you're a VIP because you're an insider. You literally are like one of the main reasons why Well Connected is so well connected.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. So I want our listeners to hear how we got well connected.
Okay. Well, the story goes back over a year now. I originally came to Dr. Hafer because I was injured. I had an injury, pretty severe tendinitis, which brought me to talking about looking for a holistic chiropractor, in Orange County area. And I found myself at a party, a vision board creating party, where I spoke to a friend who I didn't know was a patient of Dr. Hafer's at the time, but he recommended me to Dr. Hafer and said she's super gentle, unlike any other chiropractor that he's ever been to, very holistic, and I should check her out. And I never got her contact information that night because it was sort of just like a casual conversation. So I started doing my own research online and I stumbled across her podcast, this podcast, Get Your Head On Straight. So I listened to every single episode and was so inspired by all the stories that I heard of all these people having such transformational stories and what Blair Chiropractic is and how it's different. And then in her latest episode at the time, she was mentioning that she was branching off, but there was no information given about that office either. So I had to still keep kind of searching-ish, but I didn't know where to look. And I had to look for, at the same time, a different job because I was waiting tables. And with my injury, I couldn't work there anymore. So I figured, okay, well, maybe I'll find a front desk job for a chiropractor's office. And lo and behold, I find one online, applied to it, interviewed, and found out that that was the chiropractor that I had been searching for all along. So it was totally divine timing and not a coincidence by any means, but just a really, really cool experience of how I not only found a chiropractor, found the one that I was looking for, and found myself a job.
It's just so remarkable how God works. And yeah, she was listening to the episode called Precision Chiropractic, and it was the last episode of me interviewing my former employer, Dr. Tom. And she heard that I was going to be leaving that practice, but I wasn't even allowed to say where I was going to protect his practice.
Exactly.
And so it was literally a divine connection. And we always comment how soul sister-ish we are.
Yes.
And how my kids just adore her like an auntie. And it's just so fun to obviously get to serve her through the world of chiropractic, but to be able to have her be an integral part of the Well Connected way. And I mean, she's even responsible for bringing format and structure to this podcast. So without Brooke, would not be as awesome as we are.
Oh, thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.
So Brooke, I want to know about when you had your first Blair Correction and how it has changed your life, because you obviously found me by an act of the hand of God. And now we get to start the healing journey. So what does that look like?
Yes. So what was so remarkable right off the hand was, I think, on the day that I was receiving my Blair Correction, right before we did a wrist adjustment. And in that one wrist adjustment, Dr. Hafer totally, I don't know how she did it, but all my pain that I had been I had 13 sessions of physical therapy at that point before seeing her that didn't help my injury at all. She corrected that in one adjustment, the pain was gone. And then shortly after, we did my Blair Correction, and I have held that one Blair Correction since September of last year. So in that journey, I've experienced many ups and downs. On a healing level physically, the wrist injury, no problem there. But sometimes during my periods of retracing, I may feel like a weird, ache in my thumb, but I know that's my body going back in time to heal that injury. And now it's stronger than ever. Emotionally, a lot of things have been brought to surface from my Blair Correction. I feel like I've been able to make better decisions because I can think more clearly, because my brain and body are connected. I feel more aligned, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually. I feel totally balanced in all ways. And coming in to see Dr. Hafer for the supportive work, each time, it's so subtle what she does, but the biggest changes happen afterwards. Like, it usually takes a day or two even to notice those changes. I mean, my life has truly changed from that one Blair Correction in September of last year.
That's amazing. And at one point you were considering actually going to chiropractic school. And I was like so thrilled for you. And I just want to iterate that it was in September of 2019 because,
oh my gosh, it's 2021.
Yeah, because 2020 has kind of been a blur, or
That's
was
true.
A blur.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're going on 18 months.
Yes.
Almost.
Yes.
And
Wow.
That means 18-month retracing is coming.
Oh man.
Be prepared.
Yes.
A common theme that a lot of our guests talk about is the retracing, and it isn't something to be afraid of. It's something to embrace, because with every period of retracing, your body becomes stronger, more resilient, and less subluxated. So the year 2020 came, and she was diligently working towards enrolling in chiropractic school.
Yes.
So you went through and did a bunch of classes. You rearranged
prerequisites,
your prereqs and your undergrad.
Yep.
And while you were working with us, we totally met you where you were and rearranged your schedule so you could take chemistry, you could take statistics, physics, all that stuff. And then COVID hit.
That's right. Yes. So I was not only so inspired to work for Dr. Hafer, but I was interested in becoming a Blair chiropractor myself. However, COVID changed so many things for everybody, and I was well on my way. However, the change of path happened when I started receiving craniosacral therapy, which is something else that we offer at Well Connected with our amazing massage therapist, Nick. And those few sessions I've had with him, in the beginning, totally inspired me to a different path, and something that was a little bit more achievable that we could do right now in COVID. The path is a little quicker and a little less expensive. So for me in my life right now, I've diverged on that path, but becoming a massage therapist is the next road that I'm taking. And I'm really excited to see where that will take me with Well Connected.
Yeah, it's so neat because we hired Brooke for the front desk position, and she has conquered that without question, and has moved into the more social media. So anything that you see on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, it's at the direct hands of Brooke, which is beyond amazing, because the most I know how to do is share and maybe do a hashtag on Facebook. I'm still very confused about Instagram. That doesn't mean I'm not going to learn. It just means that I'm trusting her, and she does such a great job. She's always, thinking of creative ways to get more followers. And she is my little marketing genius, because she wanted to learn how to do some stretching. So she went and got a job, another part-time job. I think she has 3 or 4.
It's true.
To learn how to stretch, because she wanted to incorporate more body work into her training and understand physiology. And I was like, girl, go get an education. So while she's at her job stretching, she's marketing the Well Connected practice, and countless people have come in and they're like, is Brooke here? Is Brooke here? I'm like, yes, you're the star of the show. I love it. And I call her, she's my little manifester, because pretty much anything that she puts in her mind, it happens. So I'm like, teach me your ways. I want to be your little student. And I love that we have such a great culture in our practice, that it isn't me, the owner, that's dictating the show. It is us collaboratively figuring out how to reach the masses with the message of Blair Chiropractic, the message of Well Connected, and all of us working in our little way to present an offering that is attractive and healing to the people that come. So it's really fun.
Absolutely. And, talking upon manifesting, it really comes from the heart. Like, I would not recommend anything to anybody that I don't stand 1,000% behind. So truly, when I bring somebody to Dr. Hafer, I'm like, okay, not only does everybody need to get their head on straight, but I at least want all my friends, all my family, because it just makes for better relationships. At this point, I've brought both of my parents, two of my grandparents, so many of my friends, and I can see, like, I communicate better now with my mom. I communicate better with my dad, and my grandpa helped him in any way, shape, or form to be pain-free. And then even though, for some people who don't really understand chiropractic or don't really quite get the gist of it, at least I know by bringing them in and getting that one correction that they have been holding, that they are indeed doing something good for themselves, whether they are aware of it or not.
Right. And it's neat to see the implications even months later where like a girlfriend will say, gosh, like, I just don't feel the need to like fight with somebody anymore. Or they have less confrontation in their spirit towards certain circumstances. It's amazing. So we're just so blessed to have Brooke as part of our practice. So with her starting massage school, the way that I see it, she's going to move into being able to provide care at Well Connected sooner than later. And it's fun to get to be a part of the journey, watching her learn the anatomy and the physiology and put it all together from behind the scenes, because you've executed the front desk, welcoming people in and made the environment of Well Connected so welcoming. Now you get to be a part of providing the care. So I can't wait for the time that you get to actually literally get to start putting your hands on people. And it's awesome because now when people say, is Brooke here? I'm like, yes. Do you want an appointment with her at 11 or 12? Yes. Because she's going to stop answering the phones and she's going to start providing care.
I'm so excited for that. I was following the breadcrumbs. I knew I had this inkling that I was going to heal with my hands in some way. I thought Blair Chiropractic, which everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I leave that to Dr. Hafer at this point, and being able to support her in a different modality, whatever those modalities may be, could be endless.
Absolutely.
To support that work is so special. It's a great partnership.
Yes, it is. And there's no saying that she won't eventually go on to be a chiropractor. It's just that when we were talking about going to chiropractic school in COVID, in quarantine, with distance learning, I just told her I wouldn't do it if it were me, because I have a hard enough time being able to do what I'm doing and then do the Zoom calls and trying to do, continuing education. There's something to be said about being in person with your cohort, developing those bonds. And it's so disconnected in this COVID season. And things are coming back. They're a little bit more normal. There are people that are going back to campus in a safe way. So I'm fully expecting in the next, year for things to kind of go back and not necessarily the way they were, because with anything that presents itself to us, there's an evolution. And I think that people are very more intentional. At least that's my observation, is that I'm much more intentional about the time that I get to spend with somebody, because it's so precious and it's not guaranteed.
That's true.
I mean, we found out in one day that the entire world could shut down and shift. And that was wild.
Yes. And there is no better education than touch. You can't receive that through the computer. It's just person to person. That connection is unbeatable. And I'm so fortunate that massage school does have some in-person classes that is allowed right now. So I'm able to experience that.
Yes. And we experienced that as a practice when COVID happened in March of 2020. I mean, nobody knew. The entire world didn't really know what we were dealing with. So we were really busy to the point of capacity, and then it just shut down to the point where we had to kind of go back down to 2 days a week seeing patients and really pivot, quote unquote, pivot and identify, like, how are we going to meet the needs of people? How are we going to educate people on the importance of staying well connected?
Yes.
And, for 4 months, it was definitely showing up and believing and trusting that things would shift. And sure enough, starting in July through the end of 2020, we we're able to do better than we ever had because we took the time when we had that slow season to revamp our systems, to get serious and get very intentional about how we were communicating our message. How are we going to safely see patients in the practice? And it's been so fun to be able to scale back quickly with that new education and knowledge.
Absolutely. And if you ever got a text during that time, know that it was probably from me to bring you back in.
It was 100% from Brooke, because she's on it, because she cares so much deeply about every single person that we see at our practice. Yeah. She's like, we haven't seen them in 6 weeks. We need to get them back in here because personally, she understands the importance of keeping your head on straight, staying well connected, and making sure your nervous system isn't stressed out. That's what the follow-up visits are all about. It isn't about, oh yeah, you're holding. I mean, yes, you're holding, but what can we do to ease your body through the healing process to support it?
Absolutely.
And that's what, that whole craniosacral massage therapy component is to the practice, and what we're so excited about her stepping into very soon. So talk to me about school. What are you learning?
Right now, I'm currently in circulatory massage and then getting a very basic anatomy, introduction. So we're learning all the muscles, their origins, insertions, and the importance of effleurage, petrissage, and fanning. So it's really fun right now. It's all the fluffy stuff.
Yay.
Next quarter, we go into deep tissue.
Yes. And I know she's rearranging her schedule to take some really cool classes. So I told her, anytime you want to work on me, I will definitely be the person you can practice on.
Yes.
Because like she said, human touch is vital to our existence.
Absolutely.
We were created and designed to be in community and to touch each other, because we feel and learn through touch. And that's how babies are, exploring their environment every day, is by touching their face and by touching the people who are caregivers to them. And it's pretty awesome. So Brooke, is there anything that you would tell anyone that's skeptical? Because you had experienced physical therapy. Yes. I think you'd even tried other chiropractors, not necessarily for your wrist, but in general before.
Yes.
How would you explain the difference of Blair compared to that, and speak to the skeptic?
Sure. Yes, I have experienced other chiropractors in the past, and I love all the work that they do. However, Blair Chiropractic, since it is so specific to your body and what's going on in your specific cervical vertebrae, because every body is different, getting just a general neck adjustment, which can be kind of scary too, if you've never had your neck cracked and twisted before, it could be a very vulnerable and scary experience. And with Blair, I know that what I'm receiving is something that's specifically engineered for my body. Therefore, it has more chances of sticking and working for me. And it has, and that it truly has. And I think for the skeptics, you have to just try it to feel the difference. It's nothing to be afraid of, first of all, especially with Blair Chiropractic. And for the skeptics, I would say stick with the plan, because it's not all of your ailments are going to get fixed. We do put a lot of emphasis on the one correction. However, the follow-ups are just as important. So stick with the plan. Healing takes time, and be patient with yourself and trust the process, I would say.
Yeah. And that's the one piece that we like to do education on, is that it is a journey. And I always say it takes time to become dysfunctional, and it takes time to heal. So, we met you at a certain point on your journey where you had these issues, but then we make a correction and we sort of stop that degenerative process and then start a regenerative process. And it takes time for those things to kind of manifest.
Yes, I think that's really important that you say start and not fix a problem, because we are not fixing one thing. We are starting a whole new journey. So you're walking a different path. It's like you just turn your back, and by turning your back, and facing a new direction, you have to walk forward. You can't just expect, a whole new world on the other side once you've made that one turn.
Exactly. I liken it to one of my favorite authors and Bible study teachers. She talked about this word peripety, and it literally means to turn and go a different direction. So when you have an upper cervical correction, a Blair upper cervical correction, it's a moment of peripety where the path you were on has literally been stopped 180 degrees, go a different direction. And now you're on a path of healing that has more implications than you can even fathom.
Absolutely.
And I know I've experienced that personally. And I think Brooke can totally agree.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this is where, yoga comes into play as well, because having more body awareness will help you to notice the shifts and changes that are happening in your body. So if you are, let's say, a person, maybe a skeptic who is not in touch with their body, sure, it may be less likely that you will notice what's happening with your body. So with the practice of yoga, I see it as a very sacred time for self-exploration. And you take yourself through these, funny poses in order to figure out the areas of your body that are speaking to you, that don't feel quite normal, feel really good, or aggravate you in some way. And then you get to question, why am I feeling these things? And it's really a moment to check in. And I think yoga or any form of movement, really, whatever gets you to that place of moving your body where you can find out the areas that you want to improve on, is so important to the upper cervical correction as well.
Yeah. Good movement is life. And if there is a dysfunctional movement pattern and your body is showing you that, it's really important to question it. And I tell my patients, pain is just an indication. There's no judgment, whether you're good or bad or right or wrong. It's an indication. So if you're having pain in your mid back, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means your body's doing something and alerting you to something.
Exactly.
So Brooke, what does it look like for you to live your life in alignment?
Ooh, I love that question. So to live my life in alignment means to not only have my Blair upper cervical correction, because that's the start of it, but from there to have balance in my body, my relationships with everyone around me and myself in the world, how I present myself, finding balance in all areas of life with love and connection, being well connected, in all ways, not only to just get rid of pain, but to really evolve and expand into the person that I want to be. I think that's totally trying to shoot for the stars, I guess.
Yes, that sounds amazing. And I think that's what my heart and my dream was too, for why we started Well Connected and where we came up with that tagline. And I'm glad you love that question because you actually created it.
It didn't come from me.
Oh, I know. God downloaded it. The Holy Spirit gave you that. And I was like, why didn't I think of that? Brooke gets all the credit. I tell you what, I am a better chiropractor because she's part of the practice. It's awesome. So, Brooke, this has been a very enlightening conversation. And I really hope the listeners truly understand your passion, your love, your connection, and they resonate with your story. So if you are listening and you know anybody who needs to hear this message, please share the message with them. And thanks for coming on the show, Brooke.
Thank you. And one last little tidbit here. We do offer yoga at the office every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. That's something that will probably be standing for a long time. So whenever you hear this podcast, the class will probably still be available. And you can connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at Brooke Evelyn Yoga. That's BROOKEEVELYN Yoga.
Awesome. I'm glad that you got to plug yourself. I didn't even think of it. I'm so sorry. Good job. All right. So find Brooke on Insta. You won't regret it. And come check us out at Well Connected.
Yes. Well Connected Chiro.
Yes. All right. Thanks for listening. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, if you want to know more about Blair Chiropractic, please do not hesitate to reach out to me at wellconnectedchiro.com. And if you have any suggestions for an upcoming show topic, please let me know. Until next time, talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. Visit wellconnectedchiro.com for more details from the show blog post and to learn what Blair Upper Cervical Chiropractic can do for you. To learn more about Dr. Hafer and her practice, you can find her at Well Connected Chiropractic in Mission Viejo, California by visiting wellconnectedchiro.com for more information.